The Sleepy Joe administration have just released details of their plan on how they're going to spend $700 million to make EV infrastructure and charging start to take off in America. Now, here are the details, which are actually quite interesting to see. Hello, my friends, and welcome to the channel. Great to see you. It's nearly the weekend. In fact, for me, right now, it's 5:46 p.m. on a Friday afternoon. I've got to say, I am feeling a little tired after a long week. Don't know about you, but for me, it's been one of those weeks. Now, the Biden administration announced Tuesday that a few private companies have committed more than $700 million in investments to boost domestic production of more than 250,000 new electric vehicle chargers annually. According to the White House, this investment will create at least 2,000 good-paying jobs and make EV charging more accessible, affordable, fair. Pretty good deals. All in all, sounds pretty good if you ask me. Now, the $700 million in private investment, this is not the US government's investment, this is private, will follow $7.5 billion from President Biden's bipartisan infrastructure law, which aims to help the EV sector by adding more charging infrastructure throughout the country, among other things. Now, we do have something kind of similar that's being passed in here in Australia. Not quite as good as this, though, in my view. Maybe you guys can get Joe to give our Prime Minister here in Australia a call and get him to maybe up the ante on things a little bit, please. Anyway, just an idea. The White House said that the most key investments come from Electricity America and Siemens, who announced an additional $450 million in investments today to help grow the infrastructure of ultra-fast chargers for EVs. And while Electrify America's investments will support the rapid deployment of up to 10,000 ultra-fast chargers at 1,800 charging stations, Siemens is currently on track to build 1 million EV chargers over the next 4 years. 1 million from a single company. Wow, color me excited. I'm getting a bit all worked up here, and it's a Friday night. Well, anyway, additional industry actions include ABB e-mobility with 125 new jobs in 2 new facilities, ChargePoint, which will establish new production lines for level 2 chargers at their Milpitas, CA facility and create approximately 250 new manufacturing jobs, and Flow, who will invest $3 million to build 30,000 charging stations annually. Now remember, these job numbers they're not a real true accurate representation of the real job numbers. Automotive jobs, they're normally a flow-on thing where there's normally 1 direct job and 10 indirect jobs behind it. That's the industry average in most countries worldwide. Now remember, put this into context, because it's not just the US government that are investing, $7.5 billion, and private companies investing this money, then another $750 million, and then Tesla investing in more chargers. And then of course, this is just a small part of what's going on, because then we have other things like the other time, right? The other report that I released recently about what is going on in Texas, where Texas plans on investing about $1 billion in EV infrastructure as well. So you're going to add all this money, right, coming from private companies, coming from the US government, and then add that to the states themselves. There's going to be an incredible charging network in the US by the end of this decade. Tesla was also mentioned by the White House for its dedication to deploying fast charging stations and adding to its already industry-leading infrastructure. More than 1,600 employees work at Giga New York, producing the Tesla Solar Roof and supercharger stations, which are capable of charging vehicles at up to 250 kilowatt. Tesla is expanding production capacity of power electronics components that convert alternating current to direct current, charging cabinets, posts, and cables. Later this year, Tesla will begin production of new supercharger equipment that will enable non-Tesla EV drivers in North America to use Tesla superchargers, the White House said. Good to hear the White House taking some credit for what Tesla's... No. Okay. White House, you stepped up. Didn't need to be about politics. Didn't need to be about just appeasing the people in your union that have been supporting you. That didn't need to happen. You've moved on from that. And I've got to give credit where credit's due. White House, well done. Good job. You've moved on from the little squalor, the squabber, the childish kind of shenanigans. And that seems to be a thing of the past. And I'm stoked to hear that. That is fantastic. You know what? That's a long-term thinking, not short-term thinking. So kudos. You know what? Let's move on from our whatever party or whatever parties we're part of, wherever we feel, wherever our feelings are. Let's focus on the future. Let's focus on positivity. Let's focus on what's going to happen in the US. Let's focus on, the good things the companies are doing. Tesla, of course, included in that. I'm going to point out, I think the US government should also make an example of a weird little situation that's going on right now, right? They're trying to support union jobs. They're trying to support General Motors, Ford, Stellantis. They wanted to give $4,500 US to any car made by unions, right? And I get that. That's all right. I get that. Not saying I would do that. If I was president, I wouldn't, but I get it. But you know what? When that list came out that I released last week, showing you the top 10 most American-made cars, and there wasn't a single General Motors vehicle listed on there. The only Ford vehicle was a minuscule production vehicle. Minuscule production. If you want to see what vehicle that was, I'll put a link in the description below to that video. In other words, Ford and General Motors and Stellantis didn't rank pretty much at all in the top 10. Now, there was a Jeep listed there, but Tesla took the first, 4 of the first 5 places. Took first and second with the Model 3 and the Model Y. And of course, Model S and Model X took out, I believe, it was 4th and 5th. So, there's that little issue I think we need to clear up in the US. We need more manufacturing to stay in the US, not to give the marketing perception that that's happening, but the reality, make that really happen. Now, in addition, what else happened? After Biden's Build Back Better plan stagnated due to a lack of support, including vocal opposition from Joe Manchin, the White House has been forced to push the boundaries on what it can do to help create more EV adoption in the US. One of the most recent pushes the Biden administration has made is new guidelines for 500,000 additional EV chargers with a $5 billion federal initiative. Now, I will put a link in the description below for any of you who are interested for the full White House press release. So now all we need to see happen in the US is we need to see some sort of bill passed, right? So that the American government doesn't continue to fund Volkswagen and Porsche and, Japanese automakers, South Korean automakers. They don't actually give any financial incentives right now to General Motors or Tesla electric vehicle buyers in America. But they do give it to all those companies I just mentioned, to those countries I just mentioned, and their car companies. Frankly, this has been going on for too long now. I've been whining and moaning about it. Time for it to stop. Time for, the US government to just get together, agree, make something happen. Either cut off those incentives altogether or give them out to everyone. Now, punishing early adopters, General Motors and Tesla were obviously the early adopters. That's why their credits ran out. Seems like a really unfair thing to do. Let me know if you agree with me or you disagree in the comment section below. And have a great weekend. Bye-bye.